Welcome to Terrific Talk. My name is Tom Anderson. Tom Anderson.
Play to win the game. Gone.
Tom Anderson.
Great cash, homie. Great cash, homie.
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Touchdown.
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Touchdown.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Terrific Talk Podcast. Welcome back, Terrific Talk Podcast.
Here comes the hose.
I'm your host, Tom Anderson.
First, behind the bag. It gets to Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Welcome to Terrific Talk. I'm Tom Anderson. Thank you for subscribing to Terrific Talk on iTunes. Thanks for checking out Twitter at Terrific Talk Tom, Instagram at Terrific Talk Tom. Big week of sports here, and breaking news here on the Terrific Talk podcast. Kyrie Irving says that he wants to re-sign with the Celtics next year. Let's bring in our man Steve. Steve, what is your reaction to this?
I think it's a smart move. I think it's equally as smart as him backtracking the fact that he doesn't actually think the world is flat. Saw that the other day and got a good chuckle. But that team with Brad Stevens, got Gordon Hayward, you've got young talent, Jason Tatum. Yeah, their potential, in my opinion, is limitless. If they stay healthy, obviously, both Kyrie and Hayward got hurt last year. But if they stay healthy, they, in my opinion, have the pieces to make deep runs. Make NBA championships year after year. Now, my hope is that the process is going to unseat them. However, I would think with LeBron now moving out to the West, they've got to be the clear favorite to take the Eastern Conference championship. What do you think?
I think Kyrie knows that this is the team he needs to get it done with. You know why? Because Brooklyn's coming. Brooklyn, stand up. I was looking it up. Kyrie's only 26 right now. Doesn't he seem way older? I was surprised by that.
He's young. He's been around but he was a one-and-doner. So, and he didn't play much at Duke that year because he had, what was his injury there? Hand? Foot?
I think it was just like, his foot or ankle or something.
So, he's been in the league since he was 19, 20 years old. So even though he's 7 years in, it's when you start at 19, he's still a young pup. But, health is the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing for every sport. If people get hurt, people miss time, that consistency is key. So, again, I will concede that they have firepower, and I think the biggest intangible that team possesses is their coach. Brad Stevens is incredible. Even down Kyrie, down Gordon Hayward, big Gordon Hayward or Hayward, yeah. They took it to the Sixers last year, which I thought second round we just beat up tough series with the Heat. Sixers are going to roll. They're going to win this thing in 5, and they flipped the script on them. So, I think with Brad Stevens at the helm, maybe Kyrie knows that he's got a special coach that can get it done for them.
I think the thing with Boston is I think Kyrie would be kind of crazy to leave that situation. I mean, it's a great organization, great fans, great team set up here for the future. If he gets along with them, I see no reason why he'd want to leave. Maybe Boston passes on him. You got to think about having to re-sign all these young guys down the line. Maybe you don't want to lock up all your money into Kyrie, but I think Kyrie is going to be on the Celtics team for a long time.
But with how the money now is going to be situated, I've heard a bunch of reporting, read a bunch of things. With this whole Jimmy Butler wanting out of Minnesota. There's that the trade carousel rumor going around that pretty soon teams are going to be able to afford multiple max guys. So, for the Celtics, it's one of those, if they don't have to lock up, obviously a Tatum yet, if they don't have to lock up some of these young, why am I blanking on my man with the flat top?
Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown. Like, if they don't have to lock those guys up just yet, why not take Kyrie, wait a year or two. At that point, the revenue money is probably going to be out of this world that they can afford multiple max dudes and not have a problem with it with handling that from a salary cap perspective.
I'm with you on that. You've got to be careful, though, because they keep saying that the salary cap's going to keep going up, and then they kind of change their mind and are like, well, maybe not up as much as we thought, and then you get locked into these contracts. That happened to the Nets a couple of years ago. It wasn't good. But right now, 100% with you.
That's true. And it's, to the other point, too, where's Kyrie going to go? Unless he wants to, build a whole new team and, to your point, go to Brooklyn. What are the options out there? If he goes to some of these other teams, that are established, because I'm assuming he wants to win, going to the Sixers, he would want to be a league guy, but he wouldn't be.
Yeah, he wants to be the league guy.
Go to the Rockets and join that superpower, or you're going to be far down the peg on a couple pegs down on that as well. So it's just kind of like, with how that team is constructed, they can compete and win, and he can be the go-to guy. I think for him at this point, if he would want to be the go-to guy, he's going to basically be going to a team and starting from scratch, and they're not going to win for a while.
What's your take on Jimmy Butler?
I've never really been on board with the thought of Jimmy Butler being like a top 10 guy in the NBA. I don't know if that's just because he's, where he's been, he hasn't been showcased as much. He's definitely supremely athletic. I mean, he's he's that prototypical guy that LeBron is. He's maybe a little bit smaller and obviously not as freakishly athletic as LeBron, but he's got that almost unguardable body. But to me, I don't know. He doesn't really do it for me. I like scorers, but I like scorers like KD. I like scorers like Steph. Scorers like like James Harden that just can do it off the bounce, create their own offense, but also, move without the ball. I mean, I was watching a video earlier today of Steph, and just his movement off the ball to get himself open to make shots is second to none. It's scary.
Yeah.
You think you have him bottled up, and nope, he slings through some defender, works his way off some pick, and you give him 6 inches. It's good night. You might as well send it.
I'm good. I'm glad you said this about Jimmy, because I'm not really on the Jimmy Butler bandwagon either. I think he's like a top 20 player. He's obviously really, really good. Great two-way player. He wants to be the guy. He's a hooper. Thing that troubles me, because the Nets are obviously one of the teams he was interested in getting traded to. I really don't want the Nets to trade away that much for him. First of all, he's going to be 30 years old. That makes me a little nervous. He's had some injuries in the past. And the thing that really makes me nervous is I feel like he's not a good team chemistry guy. I don't know if that's fair, but now Chicago and Minnesota, it's two situations where it seems like all his teammates hate him. It's not a good sign to me. I don't know. He seems like a likable guy. I don't know.
And he's putting his teammates on blast, calling out Karl Anthony Towns, calling out Andrew Wiggins, questioning whether or not they're in it for the right reasons. I mean, they're young kids. They're still trying to figure it out. They're reliant on him to kind of, I'm not saying that, yes, he is an all-star for sure, and now his job should be to mentor these young guys. However, then to put him on blast and, in the media or on social media, whatever avenue he used, it's kind of like, all right, to your point, what type of teammate are you? He seems like he's a rotten apple.
Yeah, it's a fly.
And one rotten apple can spoil the bunch.
Well, look at you. That was a good line. That was nice.
I try.
You mentioned Jimmy putting people on blast. Let's go talk about Earl Thomas real quick, putting the Seattle Seahawks organization on blast. Getting hurt on Sunday, awful, left tibia, broken. He's been trying to get a contract.
Same spot as 2 years ago or so?
Yeah, trying to get a contract all year, trying to get a little bit more security. The Seahawks didn't make it happen. He gets hurt, leaving the field. He gives the finger to everybody, something I remember you used to do as a runner a lot to the crowds. What do you think about Earl Thomas?
Man, could go really deep on this, right? And I'm going to do it. Everyone's killing there's a lot of people killing Le'Veon Bell. Again, talk about teammates putting someone on blast. You know, his offensive lineman, one of the offensive linemen to start the year kind of tore into him, saying how he would make more in one game than, you know, the right guard makes in the entire season, and he's not about the team, and yada yada yada. But at the end of the day, it is a business, and you better believe that Earl Thomas broke his leg. He's not getting a contract from the Seattle Seahawks now.
Yeah, no, he's not.
He's not getting traded to another franchise to get picked up now, and they're gonna wait. They're gonna wait it out, and they're gonna see what all these franchises. And when I say they are, the NFL franchises are gonna wait it out, and they're gonna see what his recovery is like, and they're gonna see what he looks like, and they're probably gonna get him at pennies on the dollar as compared to what he would have gotten if he secured a contract in this offseason. So for Le'Veon Bell, you know, that right there is the reason why he's doing what he's doing, because he knows that at the end of the day, the owners, they want players to fill their seats and give them ratings and make the money, and if that's not going to be the case, they're not going to look out for you. You know, and this is kind of where I'm going to go deep with this. Before I do that, though, what are your thoughts on Earl?
I feel bad. It's kind of the way things are. You mentioned Le'Veon Bell. He came out today saying, I got to take this stand, knowing my worth and knowing I can tear a ligament or get surgery at any time. I knew I couldn't play 16 games with 400 or more touches. It's such a rough sport. These guys can get hurt at any time. You know, they have families. You got to lock up the contract when you can. I wonder if this example will change anything going forward. Will teams... I don't think it will. Like, will teams buckle and feel the pressure from the public now to get these guys paid? You think anything will change from this?
No, I don't think anything will change. And this is kind of a good segue into that deeper aspect I was talking about. I don't think anything will change because look at NCAA athletics. Think about the fact that, to your point, these players have families. You know, they're struggling. A lot of them are struggling for money, and NCAA athletes, even though it's been a hot topic of conversation, they're still not paid. And I'm not saying, you know, your runner. Like, no, I'm not. I wouldn't, as an NCAA athlete, expect to get paid. However, your revenue generating sports, your basketball, your football, you have coaches that are making millions. You have administrators that are making millions, and then you have these athletes that are making them the millions, making no money. In fact, a lot of them, you know, they get in trouble if they get an extra $20 to get a pizza when they're mandated to be on campus for athletic reasons. You know, it's one of those things that if these guys, you know, Le'Veon Bell and Earl Thomas, you know, Texas and Michigan State, if they were paid in college, you wonder if they would be this hard-headed on stances of contracts. Because, you know, now a lot of these guys don't stay all 4 years, but if that's 4 years there where you're making money, maybe you're not in a financial situation where you know your financial situation is different. You've got what, Jim Harbaugh making how much money at Michigan? He makes $7, $8, $10 million a year, and to me it's crazy to think that so many people are getting rich off the backs of these athletes, and a lot of them are poor athletes coming from bad upbringings with no money.
Quick side note, Steve, I got to tell you, I got good news for you, real quick.
What's up?
The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, is going after the NCAA in this season of Ballers. So.
Oh, he is.
So
yeah, I love it.
It's amazing.
He's trying to blow it up.
Continue.
He's trying to blow it up, and not to you know get gas back here, but you know to me it's pretty telling that I don't think it will change because so much has been brought to light about NCAA and how much money they're making and how much money coaches are making and how exploited these athletes are that, people know about that and nothing's changed. So I think even though people see what goes down with NFL players, I don't think anything will change.
I don't either, and it's bullshit.
Sorry to go deep. Sorry to go deep on you there.
No, I mean you know it. It's BS.
We do have to touch on Patrick Mahomes because we did say last week that we needed to come up with a nickname for him.
Yep. I want to hear yours. What do you got?
All right, so I have two options that I'm wrestling between. One, PG6 or PG7, however you want to say. Basically, Patrick gets touchdowns. Patrick gets 6 because he seems to do that fairly frequently.
Quite a lot.
At this point, 15 touchdowns to 0 turnovers.
Is that
the other
good?
one that I really like that I think you're going to like too is the TD Monster because he sounds like a little shout out to Sesame Street. He sounds like the Cookie Monster.
Oh.
So he's the TD. You know, and instead of I want cookies, it's I want touchdowns. Like that's the road. You know, that really deep raspy voice. I don't know.
That's really good.
Well,
the TD Monster.
TD Monster.
That might be number 1 right now. I came up with a couple here. My first one off the bat, I like to eat, and barbecue is pretty popular there in the Kansas City area. How about KCBBQB? Oh.
Ooh.
You see what I did there?
KCBBQ. Yeah, I like that.
It's not bad. Another one we could go with Patrick hold my beer. I got to throw for 400 yards and 6 touchdowns. Not bad. And
Not bad.
One last one I have, Patrick the Hat Trick Mahomes, because he's always good for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns.
And 3 touchdowns. That is Patrick the Hat Trick. I like that one too.
What's your favorite of my 3?
I think Patrick the Hat Trick is my favorite of your 3.
All right.
For sure. The other ones I love to play on words. They could be long.
Yeah.
But I like that Patrick the Hat Trick. It's got the rhyme. It rolls off the tongue really well. The one nickname that I just can't get behind because they were calling him this nickname the entire game was Showtime.
Yeah. Stop.
God,
It's been done before.
Linkers, how are we now going to give him that nickname when it's already been established that other franchises have that nickname? Golden Tate was pissed on Twitter.
Was he?
At the beginning of the year when they officially announced that his nickname would be Showtime because he's like, I'm already Showtime. In fact, his handle is Showtime Tate.
Yeah, it's been done. He's the
Showtime.
He's the TD Monster. Come on.
The TD Monster. Let's be real.
All right,
Get
so
him some TDs.
every week you're going to have to do the TD Monster voice and read his stats. I think that should be a weekly thing.
That TD Monster.
Who was your surprise performance of week 4 here?
I don't think that this is a surprise that I'm picking this as the surprise performance, but it's got to go to my man Mitchell Trubisky.
I got the same
UNC
one.
Tar Heel. I mean, who would have the Bears have always been known for defense, right? And with Khalil Mack, their defense is just vicious this year. But Mitch Trubisky comes out here, throws 6 touchdowns. He threw 5 touchdowns in the first half. That's the most touchdowns in a half since Aaron Rodgers put up a 6th spot on the Bears back in 2014. He came one touchdown shy of setting both a club and NFL record, or tying a club and NFL record for most touchdowns thrown. Fun fact, he threw 6. He was one of those guys that has thrown 7 touchdowns off the top of your head. Recent memory. He's kind of a big deal.
7 touchdowns?
Super Bowl MVP this past year. Nick Foles.
Oh, boy.
Nick Foles threw 7 against the Oakland Raiders.
Where's he now? What's he doing now?
Yeah, he's a backup. But yeah, I mean, Mitch Trubisky, it's one of those. I could never really fully get on board with the Bears because, and I still can't. I don't want to overreact and now say that their offense is going to be amazing because he's going to be having these performances every other week. But with that breakout, I think that establishes that they're for real. And anyone knows if they keep this rolling, they're 2-0 at home. You know what happens in the playoffs if the Bears are at home. You go to Soldier Field. I mean, good luck.
Yeah, I mean the defense is great, and I went to a wedding. It's funny. I went to a wedding this summer, and I got to talking to this guy who's like a diehard Bears fan. And I was kind of like, yeah, it's been kind of a tough time lately for the Bears. And he was like, dude, it's a secret, but like the Bears are up and coming. Like Trubisky is actually going to be kind of good. Like he's shown sparks, and this defense is like going way under the radar. And this was before they got Khalil Mack, and then they got Mack, and they went off to the start here with the D. And I'm telling you, the Bears, I think they're a major contender for that division. They're with the Packers and Vikings. That's a really good division.
Really good division. You know, the ties for the Packers and for the Vikings, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I can remember a few years back the Eagles tied, I believe, the Browns, and it was a game where Donovan McNabb actually didn't even know that a tie could occur. It was like
I remember
really,
that. Yeah.
You remember that?
Yep.
It was a really bad look for my man Donovan.
It was good.
But we literally won the division because we had the tie on the record. You know, percentage point wise, I think we were like 9-5-1, and you know, because of we only had 5 losses, you know, everyone else was 10-6. Giants were 10-6, maybe Cowboys were 10-6, but
you're welcome.
You know, we were able to escape that and get the division win because of that tie. So it'll be interesting to see how that tie between the Packers and the Vikings plays out, because these guys have to play each other, and they're going to probably beat the heck out of each other.
Yes.
So I don't see anybody going through that division undefeated, like the Eagles tend to do when they go through the NFC East. They tend to be undefeated, 1-6-0. Sorry, I had to slide that in there, but
thank you.
Yeah, the Bears, man, surprise performance. I got to give my honorable mention though to Marshawn Lynch, and it's not the reason that you think. It's a surprise performance for Marshawn Lynch because he actually went in and made a rare media appearance not this past weekend, but the weekend before, I guess maybe on Monday after they lost to the Dolphins. And we all know that Marshawn Lynch does not talk to the media.
No.
So it was very surprising for him to jump to the podium or stand in front of his locker and field some questions and actually give substantial answers.
He's growing up.
But he had a hell of a game too, man.
Yeah, he's been killing it.
Broke 11 tackles against the Browns. That was my pick last week.
Dude, it was a good pick. It was a good pick.
Oh man, they had it. Now here's another thing I want to dive deep in with you a little bit here. So the major deciding factor of that football game was when Carlos Hyde rushed for what appeared to be a first down, and they went back to video replay and they overturned it. Now, the story has been with replay the last, let's say, year and a half, 2 seasons. You know, for the most part, they tend to stick with the call on the field unless there's enough evidence to warrant that it be overturned. And in my opinion, watching that replay, there wasn't enough evidence to overturn it.
Yeah.
I think it was a CBS game, and it might have been a Fox game, and whoever their insider official is, was kind of saying the same thing, like, oh, it doesn't look like there's enough to overturn it. Doesn't look like there's enough to overturn it. What happens? They overturn it. They punt away. Raiders march down, tie the game, win in overtime. So it was one of those like, oh man, I was this close. However, so what I want to discuss with you about is how in 2018, when technology is so strong, how are we still relying on these measurements of the sticks?
It's absurd.
It's absurd, right? Like how at this point, and you know, I think of things.
Tennis and soccer have figured it out, yeah.
Tennis and soccer, literally. Well, you took the words out of my mouth. You know, now with football, you have to add the element of time. You know, because yes, of course they could break the plane, but his knee could have been down. But you can very easily figure out like when a knee goes down, and then check the, you know, scaled against time to figure out where the ball is. To me, it just is baffling that it's just this arbitrary guess, it seems to me.
It's silly. It's absolutely silly. The technology's there. It's been there for years, and they won't change it, you know?
And it decides football games. Like, you need human rest, for sure. However, you know, think about in tennis when at the U.S. Open they challenge an in or out call. The crowd goes crazy for 10 seconds, and they're and then they come up on the board, in or out, and it's kind of like a funny part of the game at this point. Like, one, it it takes them 3 minutes to figure it out. Whereas, like, use technology, it's figured out in 5 seconds, and then you're playing the game.
It's awful. They needed to use that, and I hate the challenge of the spot of the ball because it's always impossible to tell. And it's impossible, and they always overturn it. And it's like, what are we seeing? It's never like clear call. It's horrible. Not a fan. I want to get into power rankings. Who are your top 5 this week?
Things are moving and shaking. Well, my top 3 actually stays unchanged from last week. Rams, Chiefs, and I if you remember, I took a swing with the Ravens, and I was like, I said I hope it's not early, but they put a beat down on the Steelers, and in Pittsburgh. So at Heinz Field, so that I like my top 3 to stay the same. Number 4, Pats, they're back. They were 2-2 last year through week 4. They made the Super Bowl. Brady's dialed in. Edelman's coming back tonight. They're already up as we record this podcast. They're already up 7-0 with the ball back halfway through the first quarter.
They're back.
They're my number 4. They're my number 4 team. They're back. And then number 5, it's got to go to the Bears.
Whoa.
The offense is showing life. They're 3-1. And like I said earlier, I don't want to overreact to their offense because that will not be the thing that wins them games. But this defense is incredible. Khalil Mack is on just record-setting pace on a whole host of a lot of different areas. He's got 4 strip sacks, fumbled already this year.
MVP talk.
He's on pace for 16. I think the record's 10. Like, he could almost double it. Yeah, our boy, the TD monster, he's got to be leading the way with MVP talk, but I think Khalil Mack is nipping at his heels, man. He wants some of those cookies.
1,000%. I love the amount of disrespect that you're giving my Saints. It's just these people in New Orleans are just not fans of you. Just leaving them out of the top 5 again.
They're angry.
They're angry. I'm kind of...
Man, I just can't get on board with their offense is a juggernaut, but the fact that their defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, I just...
They'll get it figured out.
I can't do it yet.
They'll be all right. My top 5, I'm going Rams, Chiefs, 1-2, always. Number 3, I'm sticking with my Jaguars. Still love the defense, and I love Jalen Ramsey just continues to trash talk. They're playing my Chiefs this weekend. And you see Jalen Ramsey's calling Tyreek Hill. He's like, he's more of a kick returner than a wide receiver. He's not a wide receiver. He's a kick returner. Just the amount of disrespect is phenomenal. Tyreek Hill has been dominating this season. So that should be a fun matchup. So I still like the Jaguars, even though Bortles is all over the place. Good one week, terrible the next. Number 4, got to go with my Saints. Just an impressive win against my New York Giants. Really, really tough to beat this Giants team this season, Steve, as you know. And
really tough.
Yeah.
Really tough.
Number 5, I got the Pats. They're back in the top 5. The panic time is over. They just destroyed Miami. That division is terrible. Bills still don't think they're good. Sorry, Leibs. Yeah, they're still a dumpster fire, by the way, Liebner. Calm down. Got destroyed. And then the Jets. Sorry, Sam Darnold. I love Saquon Barkley. You're not getting it done. And Miami, not an impressive game against New England. So that's my top 5 right there. Let's get to Week 5 picks here. You almost had it with the Browns last week. You was a great pick. You kind of got robbed. Who are your 3 picks this week?
It still hurts. I would have been 2-0-1 because I think the Panthers were a push.
Yeah.
But,
by the way, the Panthers are sneaky. They're very good.
They're sneaky,
I like the Panthers.
They're sneaky. I know.
like them.
I've been keeping an eye on them. They're sneaky. It's for them, not to go off. Sorry to go off on a tangent. It's just like Christian McCaffrey. He is a jack of all trades. Who else do they have on their offense? If Greg Olsen doesn't break his foot again, maybe if he's playing, but I got to see a little bit more from them.
They're competitive.
But yeah,
though.
that was now for my picks. I know I picked the Browns last week, and they almost pulled it out. But I'm gonna have to go against the Browns this week.
Oh my God!
Because the Ravens are coming into town.
What is happening?
-3.
You
Can you
love
believe
the
that
Ravens.
the Ravens are only -3 going into Cleveland?
The Browns are frisky. They're not. They're good. They're exciting.
They're in every game. But this is the Ravens defense. Joe Flacco's clicking right now. I gotta think that the Ravens win that game by 3. My number 2 is I'm going with the Rams here. I know they're playing in Seattle. Seattle, 12th man, tough place to play. They're given 7.5. They absolutely destroyed the Hawks last year when they played them in
They
Seattle.
always beat the Seahawks. They even when they were bad, they still would always. And the Seahawks were really good. They would always beat the Seahawks.
They gave them fits. So I just, they're the number one team for both of us in the power rankings. I think they continue to roll. That offense is just crazy.
I hope there's no
right
letdown. I hope there's no letdown this week.
Yeah, that was my one thing is, like always, division games are tough. They've been riding high, and part of me, I'm not gonna lie, part of me deep down inside is hoping that I'm jinxing the Rams now, and that they do lose, because the Eagles being 2-2, we got to somehow get some games back. Maybe try to get a little home field should we get on the roll. But that's going to segue perfectly into the Birds, man. They're -3 against the Vikings at home. I don't normally do this when picking games. I normally just stay away from the home team just because it's a biased pick, clearly. But I think the Eagles, we snap back. We snap back from that just brutal defeat from last week. Talk about not being able to stop a nosebleed. Who would have thought that the Titans would have had four shots at fourth down and converted every single time against us? Freaking brutal. But I think the Birds get it done here, -3 at home. The home crowd's going to be going crazy. So there are my three. Ravens, Rams, Birds. What do you got?
I am going with the Green Bay Packers, -1 at Detroit. This is kind of a little bit of a weird line to me. I feel like the Packers are better than the Lions. I know it's in Detroit. It's a little, I don't know.
I've seen some instances where it's a pick'em game, which I was like, what?
That seems really fishy to me, so maybe you should stay away. But, I mean, or you should just be logical and take the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers here, keep it rolling. Next game, I'm going to take the Denver Broncos and that awesome defense headed to play the Jets, and the Broncos are getting a point.
Isn't that scary? I saw that one and laughed.
Yeah.
Sorry, Solly.
Yeah, it's all. I mean, they're fired up at home, I guess. But Sam Darnold going up against.
I don't know.
That doesn't seem like a very good matchup to me. I think Denver is going to be too tough. Denver, I like Case Keenum. I'm like a sneaky Case Keenum fan. He's solid.
I was going to say, man, Case Keenum took the Vikings last year to the NFC Championship.
He's solid.
He's solid, and he's got weapons. He's got Emmanuel Sanders. He's got Demaryius Thomas. He's got talented guys out of the backfield. Dude, by the way, before you get to your second pick, if you watch the Monday night game, I assume, if that hook and ladder ended up getting executed, Emmanuel Sanders is in for 6.
I know. There was space. There was space.
They beat the Chiefs.
They would have beat the Chiefs.
It was tight, man.
It was a great game. I really like the defense on Denver. I think they're just always solid.
And isn't it funny that like the Denver Broncos almost beat the Chiefs, who were the second best team in the league, and now they're going to the Jets and they're getting points? Like, how does that make sense? It
makes no sense at all. Denver has not gotten any respect with the Lions at all this season. No one believes in Case, I guess, in Vegas. I'm telling you, though, the Jets are not winning this game. I like the Broncos. Last one. This is a tough one for me. I seem to be having a pattern here where I'm picking against my Giants every week. And I mentioned that I like Carolina, and I really like Carolina at home. Carolina -6.5. A little high, but I just don't have a lot of faith in my Giants. I think Carolina takes care of business. This could be another ugly one for the G-men. I hate to say it, but I like Carolina.
That game was noted down, but I normally note down a few of them and then pick from there, and that was one of the games that I almost took Panthers getting given 6.
Maybe we should tease Carolina and the Rams.
Ooh,
could be good.
Just get real frisky with it. What do you think?
I think it's a good move. I like it.
How's your fantasy squad doing, by the way?
Ooh, why do you?
I know that a lot of people don't like to hear other people's fantasy. I like hearing other people's fantasy because I like hearing how people draft. Gives you a kind of different perspective. But
I don't know why you had to bring that one up. It's not going well at all. I read a good stat. We were talking last week of how defense is getting harder and harder to play, and the offenses are just dominating. This year, there have been already, through 62 games, Peter King came up with this stat, 12 games already of 400-yard passing games. Last year there were 8 total the entire season. There's already been 12 this season. I have 0 of those on my fantasy team. And I picked up Fitzpatrick, and I played Fitzpatrick last week where he got benched.
Yeah, Fitzy had 3 of those 400 games in a row, and then of course he ran into the buzzsaw that is Khalil Mack.
Yep. I've won 23 fantasy titles in a row. I am struggling this year. I'm 1-3. My running backs have not been great. I have Christian McCaffrey. Love him, but he doesn't score a lot of touchdowns, which is an issue.
Score TDs. Are you a PPR league?
No. It would be nice if I was.
Yeah. That'd be amazing if you were.
And the TD monster is destroying Kareem Hunt on my team also, who had a nice game this past weekend, but Kareem Hunt has not been the same Kareem Hunt as last year because Pat Mahomes is just dominating. So that's hurting.
Yeah.
And Russell Wilson has been a very big disappointment. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I started off 1-0. I started off most points in the league. I pulled off kind of in my opinion, was a good trade pre-draft to get an extra pick inside the top 5 rounds. My team was looking good, and then for some reason they just all decided they stopped remembering how to play football.
Who else on your team?
I had AJ Green go off, against the Ravens that week 2.
Nice.
But at week 2, I played against a guy that has Patrick Mahomes, Melvin Gordon, Tyreek Hill, and there was one other one.
That happened to me too.
He literally scored. I scored like 120 or something. I had a good week. He scored like 160, and I was like, okay, cool. I was the 3rd highest scorer in my league that week, and I took an L. And then ever since that week, my team has just been abysmal. I think I scored 80 points last week. I think I scored 70 points the week before. So I'm 1-3 as well. Kind of crushed, deflating. I took Edelman with an extra pick that I got. So hopefully him coming back. Looking at the stat line, he's already got 3 catches for 28 yards through 2 drives. So he'll help out. I just need him to find the end zone. But I've got, my running backs aren't strong. We do a half-point PPR, so I always look for more running backs that catch out of the backfield. I've got Jay Ajayi. My wide receivers are good. I've got Keenan Allen, AJ Green, Demaryius Thomas, Julian Edelman. I picked up Kenny Galladay from the Lions, but things just haven't come together for me. So it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a waiver wire league. I'm going to have to try to fight to make the playoffs.
Me too. And quick, we got to give a shout out to Jimmy Graham, who I thought was going to have just a monster season with Aaron Rodgers. He's been trash, absolute trash. I don't know what I don't know what happened to Jimmy Graham, but it really has pissed me off. So Jimmy, you have ruined my fantasy season and my Sundays. Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy. I hate you, Jimmy.
All right, we are at almost the 40-minute mark. We gotta wrap this up.
You got to get to bed over there on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's still early for you. You mentioned watching the Ozarks last week. What are you watching now? Anything new?
Yeah, we started Jack Ryan. Me and my wife started Jack Ryan.
I really want to watch that.
Amazon. Have you watched it?
I really want to. I've been dying to watch it. I haven't gotten into it yet.
Yep, it's great. We've watched We've watched 2 episodes. 2 episodes, I think. We're also big American Horror Story fans, so we watched that.
How's that?
That shows. Oh man, it's so twisted, but it's great. And then we also watched The Good Doctor. That's our feel good. That's our feel good show. It's on ABC. It's about an autistic doctor or autistic guy that's trying to become a neurosurgeon. So it's a pretty good one.
It's inspiring.
But the binge worthy one right now is going to be Jack Ryan. We'll probably knock out a couple episodes of that tonight. And but the one that I really think that we need to watch now, since we've driven across the country, we've gotten through the Redland, Utah, Colorado. I know this happens down in New Mexico, but we've never watched Breaking Bad, and I think we got to do it.
You got to do it.
Have you watched?
Oh yeah, start to finish, it's phenomenal. Breaking Bad, I would say, there's so many seasons.
Yep.
So a lot of people think it's a little slow getting into it. I was kind of hooked pretty early on, but it really gets going. And I got to say, of all the shows that had long runs like that, no show had a better finale than Breaking Bad, in my opinion. You know how like these shows go on for a long time and the end's kind of like disappointing, like that was stupid. Breaking Bad
It just fizzled.
nailed it, just killed it.
Okay.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, that's I have to just kind of sell it to Erin, for everyone. That's my wife. She like sees the high season count and just gets
It's a little intimidating.
she gets anxiety or just seems like it's an impossible feat to conquer. But you know, like Shameless, like I watched Shameless by myself because she's like, "There's 8 seasons, I can't watch that." I'm like, dude, we would plow right through it. But
Yep.
so I think Breaking Bad, I'm gonna have to put the tails and charm on it and see if we can get on that train.
Keep us posted. You got to do the Bill Belichick, one episode at a time.
One at a time.
All right, dude. Everybody, thank you for checking out the podcast. We will be back next week. I think we're going to have a fun baseball playoff podcast coming soon. Obviously, more hoops talk. And, yeah, we'll see you next week. Kobe.
The TD monster.